Isn't this just perfect? Look at her, she's crying. Pathetic. Just as I said she would.
There is a cruel kind of laughter that only exists inside luxury. Ballrooms that the kind rich people use when they believe someone beneath them has forgotten their place. And on the night of Buckingham Palace's annual charity gala, Princess Amelia learned exactly how humiliating royal love could become. More than 400 aristocrats filled the grand ballroom of the palace hotel beneath crystal chandeliers worth more than most people's homes. Politicians, foreign investors, old money elites. Every camera in London was there. And standing in the center of it all was Prince Alexander, future King of Britain. Beside him stood his wife, Amelia, elegant ivory gown, minimal jewelry. Quiet posture. To the public, she looked graceful, but inside the palace, everyone knew the truth. The royal family hated her, because unlike the aristocratic women Alexander was expected to marry, Amelia came from new money. No noble bloodline, no royal ancestry, no political connections. Just rumors about a wealthy, foreign businessman father nobody had ever seen. And tonight, Prince Alexander finally decided to humiliate her publicly. It began during the charity speech. Alexander stood before the ballroom holding a glass of champagne while cameras flashed endlessly around him. Then he smiled. Coldly. Double quotes, the monarchy, he announced proudly, has always represented dignity, class, and proper breeding. Several aristocrats smirked immediately. Amelia's expression tightened slightly, because she already knew where this was going. Alexander slowly turned toward his wife. Unfortunately, not everyone who marries into royalty understands those values. The ballroom exploded into awkward laughter. Cameras instantly focused on Amelia. Humiliation flooded across social media in real time. Some guests even whispered openly, "Now, gold digger, she trapped him. She never belonged here." Amelia sat perfectly still while her husband destroyed her dignity in front of the entire elite class of Britain. And somehow, that silence made everything worse. Queen Margaret watched calmly from across the ballroom. She did nothing to stop it, because the Queen secretly agreed. Amelia never should have entered the royal family. Then came the final insult. Alexander raised his glass carelessly. At least some people can buy luxury, even if they can't buy class. Cruel laughter echoed through the ballroom again. Amelia finally looked down. Not angry. Heartbroken. And that should have been the end of the scandal. But then the ballroom doors opened, and everything changed. 6 black armored vehicles rolled into the front entrance of the Palace Hotel outside. The music stopped immediately. Guests turned toward the windows in confusion. Then came another convoy. And another. Within seconds, the entire hotel entrance was completely blocked by luxury motorcades, escorted by private security teams. The ballroom shifted uneasily. Prince Alexander frowned. "What is this?" Nobody answered. Because suddenly, hotel staff began panicking. Managers rushed across the marble floor whispering frantically into headsets. Security guards straightened instantly. And then the hotel director himself entered the ballroom looking pale, terrified. He walked directly toward Queen Margaret first. "Your Majesty," he whispered nervously, "there's been a change in ownership." Silence. The Queen frowned sharply. "What?" The director swallowed hard. "The Palace Hotel was purchased 30 minutes ago." The ballroom froze, because the Palace Hotel was one of the most expensive properties in Europe. A symbol of aristocratic prestige, owned by old British elites for nearly a century. Buying it overnight should have been impossible. Prince Alexander laughed once, clearly irritated, and the director hesitated. Then came the sentence that shattered the entire room. "The new owner is requesting that Prince Alexander and his guests vacate the ballroom immediately." The Silence afterward felt violent. Queen Margaret slowly stood up. That is absurd. But before anyone could react, a new figure entered the ballroom. Tall, silver haired, immaculately dressed in a black suit. The room shifted. Instantly, even billionaires nearby looked nervous. Now, Amelia's eyes widened immediately. Dad? Prince Alexander's expression collapsed, because suddenly, the rumors were no longer rumors. Amelia's father was real, and judging by the terrified faces around the room, he was far more powerful than anyone. Imagine. The man walked calmly through the ballroom while private security followed behind him. Then, he stopped directly in front of Alexander, the future king of Britain, and spoke quietly. You embarrassed my daughter publicly. Alexander tried recovering his composure. You can't walk into a royal event and threaten the crown. The billionaire smiled faintly. I'm not threatening the crown. Then he slowly glanced around the ballroom. I'm removing it from my property. The room physically gasped. Several aristocrats looked horrified, because technically, he was right. The ballroom, the hotel, the land beneath them, all belonged to him now. Queen Margaret stepped forward furiously. This is unacceptable. But the billionaire barely looked at her. With respect, Your Majesty, what's unacceptable is allowing your son to humiliate my daughter for sport. Amelia stood frozen. Now. Tears filled her eyes. Because for years she endured insults silently to protect Alexander's reputation. And tonight, her father had destroyed the entire aristocracy in less than 5 minutes. Then came the final humiliation. The billionaire turned toward the orchestra. Stop the music. Instant silence. Then toward hotel security. Escort anyone insulting my daughter off the premises. Panic exploded instantly. Several aristocrats who mocked Amelia moments earlier suddenly looked terrified. One woman nearly begged. Another quietly disappeared toward the exit. And Prince Alexander, the man who publicly humiliated his wife before all of Britain, stood speechless while his own royal gala collapsed around him. Amelia's father finally looked at him one last time. Coldly. Double quotes, money cannot buy class. Prince Alexander. Then his eyes shifted toward Amelia. But a real family never lets their daughters suffer alone. For the first time that night, Prince Alexander realized something horrifying. He never truly understood who his wife was, or how dangerous it was to break the heart of a woman whose father could financially humiliate the monarchy overnight. 3 days later, headlines exploded worldwide. Billionaire buys palace hotel after prince humiliates his daughter. Public sympathy turned toward Amelia immediately. Royal approval ratings collapsed. And investors quietly began distancing themselves from the crown. But perhaps the most devastating part of the scandal was that Amelia never asked her father to intervene. He simply saw his daughter crying on live television and decided the monarchy deserved to feel humiliated too. If you enjoyed this cinematic, royal drama filled with elite humiliation, hidden power, revenge, and shocking palace scandals, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unforgettable royal stories every week.